Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another class. Looking forward to seeing everyone join us in a few minutes. So while you are getting online, we will start with Tehillim. And if anybody needs anybody Tehillim to be said for today, whether it's health, children, parnasa, shidduchim, whatever it is, okay? Just put the name down here and we will say chapter chap together. First put in tzedakah. Now tzedakah in my thing. Everyone gather a coin. Gather tzedakah. Shemikareves es haga'ula. Hope you have a charity box there at home. Put it in. And today's class is going to be in honor of a dear friend who passed away, Rochelle Shyatt. And Rochelle was a very, very dear friend. I knew her for many years, probably 30-something. She passed away yesterday, and today is her funeral, so we're going to ask Hashem to give an aliyah and a shema to Rachel Chaya Bas Moshe, and we should only hear B'sura Tovot. Good morning, Chayala. Good morning, Chava, Ingrid, Rosalie, Shirley, Lynn. Good morning, everybody. Chava, Helga, Esther. Great to see everyone this morning. So we're going to start off with chapter 20 and then have a lot to talk to you about. Hey, good morning, Corinne. Glad you found it. Hi, Sophie. Good morning. Okay. Hi, Leslie. Rosalie, I hope you rested up from yesterday. And Barb, good morning. I feel bad I didn't see you at the rally yesterday. Good morning, Lori. Yeah, it was really something else. We'll talk about it shortly. Okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Lisa. Good here. Good morning. Good to see you. Okay, by now you should know by heart. Lamnatsech Mizmar LeDavid. Yancha Adonai b'yom tzara yisagef Hashem Elahei Yaakov. Yishlach Ezracha mikodesh Mitzian Yisadeka. Yiskar kol mechasecha v'lascha yidash nesela. Yiten lecha chavecha v'chalatzascha yimale. Nirana b'shuasecha v'shem Elahei nidol. Yimalei Adonai kol mashalasecha. Ati adati ki yashi Adonai mishicho. Yanei mishmei kotra b'gvuras yeshemina. Ele v'recha v'ele asusam. Anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu naskir. Hema karavan v'falav anachnu kamnu v'nisadod. Adonai, Hoshea, Hamelach, Yanenu b'yom karenu. Okay, hi Jill, good morning. Good morning, Lori. Lisa, you are riding your bicycle and listening at the same time. You are the ultimate multitasker. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, so the title today is, what did I learn from Neturei Karta, chat, and the Shluchim from yesterday's rally in Ottawa for Israel. So before I go on, how many of you were there? Okay. How many of you were there yesterday? Hi, Bev. I saw your daughter Jody there. How many of you were at the rally yesterday in Ottawa? Give me a thumbs up if you were there. Give me a thumbs up if you know someone from your family or a friend that was there. Just want to see if anybody was there that can appreciate what I discovered and experienced yesterday. Okay? Give me a thumbs up if your children were there, if your coworker was there, if anybody from your family went to Ottawa, stood there for 2 hours in the 0 degrees. I know, to Richard in Connecticut, we tried to do something similar to what happened in Washington. We're a much smaller Jewish community in Canada. So I think we had over 20,000 for us, which is very, very good, understanding the demographics here. But how many of you were there and how many of you had family that were there? See, Arlene is giving me a thumbs up. Karen, do you know anyone that was there? Chana? Anyone that you know that was there? I know Chana, your rabbi, was there. Okay. Okay, the reason I'm saying this because I experienced something that is very interesting and very connected to Tanya. Okay. You know Goldie. I can go from all over the place and bring it all together. But you know that we just celebrated Yutes Kislev. Yutes Kislev is the day that for Chabad families and Chabad communities is a huge holiday. If you've heard of Yud Kislev, just give me a thumbs up. Karen, you were there. I missed you. I know. It was a huge crowd. I didn't see you. Anybody know what Yud Kislev is? Just give me a thumbs up so I can get some interaction here. That's the day that the Alter Rebbe, the author of the Tanya, he was released after 53 days. He was released from prison. Now there's a physical explanation and a spiritual explanation on why he was in prison to begin with. Physically, he was there because he was supporting Israel, which, by the way, tells you how far back Chabad was supporting Israel. In the 1700s, the late 1700s, the Alter Rebbe started an organization called Kolel Chabad, where we were sending money, the Russian Jews were sending money to Israel because the Jews were very poor. However, you might not know this. That's our first Chabad presence, from what I understand. Actually, even before that, we had families there in Israel. But Russia was in opposition with the Turkish Empire, who was then in control of Israel. And so when we were sending money, I say we because when Chabad was sending money to Israel, that was considered heresy and espionage according to the communist government, so they put the Alter Rebbe in jail. But spiritually, because we know as Jews that nothing physical happens unless there's a spiritual counterpart. And spiritually what was happening was this. The Alter Rebbe was about to reveal great Kabbalistic secrets. And the misnagdim, the opponents to Chabad, felt that this was going against normative Judaism. They didn't feel the Jews were up to the level of receiving such holy Kabbalistic insights. But what they didn't understand was that the Jews were slowly assimilating. I don't know if you know how many religious Jews had joined the Communist Party. They were leaving Judaism in the thousands. And the Alter Rebbe, based on the Baal Shem Tov's initiative, felt that if the Jews did not experience lofty godliness, they would fall and be gone. So this was a saving of the Jewish people during the communist regime. Now, there's a beautiful analogy that was given, and this analogy is really able for us to understand what does it mean the Jews were now going to be open to Kabbalah, which Misnagdim felt was way inappropriate. As you know, Kabbalah is for the highly intellectual Jewish philosopher, Jewish student, Jewish teacher. Very deep stuff. And they felt the Jews weren't deep. They felt the Jews were on a very low level of understanding of Torah and practice. So they said, how dare you take Kabbalah, you take this wisdom of God and bring it to the masses. So the story that's shared many times by the Rebbe, which is a beautiful story and really resonates with me, and I hope it will resonate with you too. There's a king who has a son that he treasures and loves. Unfortunately, the prince is very ill. And the doctors, after trying every kind of medication and medicinal opportunities, they realized that the son was deteriorating. Give it a few more days, he will die. So they present this option to the father, the king, and they say to him, you know, all the typical medicines and pharmaceutical, mediums, it's not working. But there's something that we know. Hi, Oriane. Great seeing you in Ottawa yesterday. Great seeing you in Ottawa. So the doctors say to the king, there's one opportunity left that we haven't used yet. It's a medicinal benefit. And the king said, tell me, I'll do anything. Money is no option. Money's no object. So they said like this: this medicinal benefit only comes from the diamond, the crowning jewel in your crown. We're going to have to take that out, crush it, make it into a liquid, and pour it down your son's mouth. If he internalizes just a little bit, if he swallows a little bit, we will be able to save his life. And we know he's very sick. And most likely he will not be able to swallow most of it. Nevertheless, if you are ready to give this choice, give this option a chance, he will recover. Now, the king has this gorgeous crown. I mean, it sits, if you've ever been to London and you've gone into the crown jewels of the monarchy, oh my gosh, how many of you have ever gone in? You have to pay like $30 to go in and see the diamonds and the emeralds and the jewels that the royal family enjoys. Forget about it. I don't know how many countries can be fed with that money, but this is not a political conversation. So they told him that he has to remove that centerpiece of his crown. How many kings would do that, right? But if you're a king that has a child, your prince, your child, your future monarch, what wouldn't you do, right? What wouldn't you do? So the king, without any hesitation, says, what do I need this whole crown? Take the crown. Take the jewel. Do with it whatever you have to do. Nothing comes before me and my child, right? What good is a king if when he dies, he has nobody to replace him? So the king removes that jewel, gives it to the doctors, who then go and crush the diamond. With that powder, they mix it with a liquid, and as the deathly prince gets spoon-fed, most of it falls on his cheek, on his neck, down his clothing, but a little bit remains and goes into his mouth, which he, thank God, swallows, and then begins his healing process. This, the Rebbe tells us, is exactly what the Tanya was. It was the crown jewel of God, Kabbalah, the secrets, the esoteric parts of Judaism, which none of us would have had access to if the Alter Rebbe wouldn't have written the Tanya. By the way, today, opponents to Chabad teach Hasidus to all of their communities in here in Toronto. I can't tell you how many Misnagdish rabbis, Litvish rabbis, teach Hasidus, because Hasidus is the crown jewel of our Torah, of Kabbalah. What is Hasidus? So let me explain to you what Hasidus is, because today we are still celebrating the week of Yutas Kislev. So what is Hasidus? And interestingly enough, I want to share with you something that a elder Chassid in Jerusalem, his name was Shmerel Sasunkin. He tackled the question of Yutas Kislev. You see, the previous Rebbe writes that Yutas Kislev is the birth of a Chassid. Yud Kislev, the 10th of Kislev, is the birth of a Chassid, right? Yutas Kislev, 10 days later, is the bris of a Chassid. Now you tell me, how many of you have ever attended a Brit Milah? Okay, give me a hand up or a comment. How many of you have ever attended a Brit Milah of a child? Okay. So, I see a lot of you have attended Brit Milah. Now you know that the mohel gives the child some wine so that the pain is calmed down a little bit, right? But anyone who's given a bris to their child, you know, which is the most painful day of the bris? Anybody know what's the most painful day after the bris? The most painful day is the third day after the bris. I've done 5 bris milas with my 5 boys. I could tell you this is true. The first day, they're still in La La Land. The wine is there. By the third day, the pain is so bad. That's right, Chava. You actually have to try to change the diaper. And you are in such pain watching. If my friend Nikki's watching, she just did 4 boys their bris milas. And her boys weren't 8 days old. Nikki, if you're watching, you can put down over here, what was the hardest day of the bris milah? Her boys were 14, 11, and 9. So the most painful day is the third day. So from the day of when there's a birth of the Jewish people, the birth of a chassid, at Yutes Kislev, the bris of a chassid, that is 10 days. Why is that? Why is that the day that we have Yutes Kislev? Because Reb Shmerel's answer was very plain. He said like this: the third day from the bris is the most pain. Similarly, Chassidus begins when it hurts. The day that the Alter Rebbe took that jewel and crushed it, it was pain. But the third day is when a Jew actually is in pain and says, why am I here? What is my meaning of life? Until you get that question out of your mouth, you don't understand what it means to be a Jew. Chassidus tells us very clearly, if we want to really identify as a Jew, we want to understand what it means to be a Jew, we want to appreciate it, it has to hurt. What does it mean it has to hurt? What it means it has to hurt is that we have to have a question. We have to ask the question. Am I just born by a Jewish mother? Do I just go to synagogue on Rosh Hashanah? Is that what it means to be a Jew? I go to synagogue 3 times a year? If that's how a Jew lives, they don't understand the depth and the meaning. And Chassidus comes in and explains it and says, you want to know why you're here. There's no way in the world that you could be content being a Jew without the struggle. And this is where I want to answer the question, what does chat, what does Neturei Karta, and what does Chabad have to do with our topic today? I'm at the rally yesterday. Lots of Jews, great energy, lots of flags, a lot of Jewish people. On one side, I see busloads and busloads of high school kids in the Toronto Jewish community, Montreal community, Ottawa community, all filing in. It's a cold day. It wasn't a balmy day like we had in October. It was a cold day. Thousands of Jews took off work to come. On the side, there were 10 guys from a group of Jews called Neturei Karta. I shouldn't even say their names here on my class. They look like Orthodox Jews. They are the farthest things from Orthodox Jews. And as the chat kids were yelling at them because they were holding Palestinian flags, Hamas, they were endorsing the pro-Palestinian policies. My heart got very tight and I was pulled to the chat kids. And they were screaming in English. I started to talk to them in Yiddish. The things I told them, I don't even want to say it online. I basically told them they are making a massive Chilul Hashem. They are desecrating God's name. They have a policy with the state of Israel that it's secular. So go make it holy. Go sit in Israel, make it holy. Don't condemn a country that is today protecting Jews. That we have freedom of religion. That we have our synagogues and our schools with freedom. We can light menorahs in public places. Do you know that the Moncton government Moncton, New Brunswick, almost wanted to disallow a public Hanukkah menorah. And with so much pressure yesterday, they revised and rescinded. We are living in Canada. It's not the most Jewish country. We have a country called Israel. And you, Jews, will condemn it? How dare you? I told the chat kids to ignore them. They eventually went home, these guys. Despicable. But the chat kids, what were they singing when they saw pro-Palestinians? The pro-Hamas. You know what they were singing? Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. Oy, 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 oy. Mashiach, Mashiach. Yeah, that's what they were doing. They were putting on tefillin left, right, and center. My husband was there. Many other Chabad rabbis were there. Rabbi Bayarsky, who was the Chabad Shluchim in Ottawa on campus, he was there with his signs. These Chabad rabbis were in full force putting on tefillin with chat kids, with every single male. My husband told me in 1 hour he got 100 men to put on tefillin. That's what the chat kids were doing yesterday. And I believe that this is bringing out, this anti-Semitism, by the way, is bringing out tremendous, latent Jewish pride. I know, a lot of my friends were on the bus. Proudest Jewish girls. I don't want to put a shout out because all of them that were there, but they were incredible. And they, my friends, Melinda, Demi, Jody, yes, Bev, you should be proud. Hazel, Rosalie, Edna, they took Shabbos candles in their bags and gave out Shabbos candles. True Chabad Shluchos. I was so proud as the Chabad Markham Rebbetzin that not only was I giving out hundreds of Shabbos candles, but my women, my friends, my girls were giving out Shabbos candles. So the Jewish pride, which was dormant for so many years, has been ignited. Yep, so that's what Hamas did. Yes, Arlene, that's amazing. He won. Your friend's son. Tell us his name. Please put his name down on the chat. So there are a few things I want to tell you that are in the Tanya. And we had a beautiful panel in Shoulder Shabbos where we spoke about 5 topics that are in Tanya that are very relevant. And I'm going to share one of them with you now. Number 1, Perek Beis in Tanya tells us very clearly that we are one organism. The Jewish people are one body. And the Alter Rebbe talks about this in chapter Beis. That's why everyone has to learn Tanya. Chapter Beis tells us that each one of us has 2 souls, but what we don't always realize is that we stem from actually one neshama. And because of that, when one part of the body hurts, the whole Jewish body hurts. So if a Jew in Be'eri was massacred, Goldie in Toronto, and Melinda in Thornhill, and Arlene in Toronto, we can't sleep. And you say, I don't know those people in Be'eri. I don't know any of the people that were in those kibbutzim. I never met them. Did you? Do you know anyone? Thank you, Jason Maron, for what you did. Do you know anyone in those kibbutzim? I don't know a soul. And now I feel like I know them like a long-lost cousin. Why does it hurt that they got murdered? Why does it hurt that they are hostages? Why do those children make us sleepless at night and make us run to Ottawa? It's in Israel. Thousands of miles away. Why does it bother you? It bothers you because it's your body. Because your body is in pain. Your body can't rest until you are healed. When I have an earache, even though the rest of my body is fine, I'm running to the doctor. When I have a broken fingernail, I can't do my work. I am in limbo because my body is in pain. That's what Chassidus taught us. That's what Chassidus taught us that was revolutionary. It made it very, very practical. You are not okay if your brother and sister in Ukraine, in Russia, in Iran, in Yugoslavia, Montenegro, or Israel is in pain, because we're one family. I want to know, my friends, am I talking about myself, or am I talking for each one of you? Give me a thumbs up if you agree with the premise of chapter Beis in Tanya. That you, every one of you, Belgrade, Serbia, Miriam, welcome. We care about you in Serbia. Every one of us cares about every one of you. Do you know how many hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars have been collected from Canadian Jews for Israel, for the IDF, for the families, the displaced families? Our shul alone is raising every single day hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for Sderot, for Ashkelon, for Ashdod, for children's Hanukkah presents. And I know you are all contributing. So that's premise number one. What happens in Israel is my problem, because we are one body. And so each one of us has a different function. Now this is another part of what the Tanya says in Perek Beis. You know what Tanya says? Because we are each a different part of the body, some of us are the eyes, some of us are mouths, some of us are the fingers, some of us are the toes, some of us are the heart, some of us are the chest. We each have a different function. The heart doesn't do the function of the ears, and the eyes doesn't do the function of the feet. We each have a different function, and we each must understand. So, for example, if some of you watching are activists, that's your function right now. You've got to get out there and sign petitions and go lobby to your politician. If some of you have a prayer book in your house called the Tehillim, which every single one of you should have, open it up. Throughout the day, open it up. Chapter 100, chapter 120, chapter 20, chapter 23. Say it in English, but you are part of the organism. If some of you watching are wealthy, and which means you have money that you can pay for extras, wealthy because you can go on vacation, then take 10% of that money and give it to charity today. That's your division. You're part of the body. If those of you watching are Talmudic scholars, you got to study Torah day and night. You get my gist, guys? Each one of us has a part and parcel of this challenge right now. That's chapter 2. Let me jump to chapter 22. Chapter 22. We are told that chapter 22 is all about Ahavat Yisrael, loving another Jew. And just talking to my father yesterday, first of all, each one of us has to love another Jew until it hurts. So if you give 10% charity, I challenge you to give 20%. Because what you're doing for your siblings, your brother in Israel, we do sometimes when it hurts. My father was telling me a story yesterday. You know, next time I'm in New York on a Tuesday, I'm going to have my father join this Tanya Live. He's going to share some stories with you. So my father, as you know, was an activist in Brooklyn, and he was very clear. He knew his role. He was very clear which part of the body he was. He was a fighter. He was telling me how he was telling this to me yesterday, actually, that there was a time when the black African Americans were very, very anti-Jewish, 70s and 80s. I was a kid then, and I was spat at, and I was beaten. We had a lot of stories. The African Americans were horrible against the whites. Things have settled down a little bit now, but then it was terrible. And Jews were being harassed and raped and burglarized, murdered. So my father, small guy, not even 5 feet, if there was ever a fight with Jew against black, he would go there to defend the Jew. And he remembers, like yesterday, when this big black guy broke his nose. My father went to the hospital, blood everywhere. And he says he would do it again. That's chapter 32 of Tanya. Are you ready to go out there and get a bloody nose for the Jew? And I'm sure some of you are going to tell me right now experiences that you had, your husband, your children, that represented exactly that love. Ahavat Yisrael until it hurts. That's what the Alter Rebbe taught. That's what Chassidus teaches. Till it hurts. We send money, but you go out there for Israel till your feet are frozen. Rabbi Kanofsky from the Shari Tefillah, him and his wife and his Rebbetzin and their daughter were on the bus with us. They were handing out toe warmers, finger warmers, because we were freezing out there, standing for 2 hours on the snow in Ottawa. You go until it hurts. Because until it hurts, you haven't really loved the Jew. Who agrees with me with that statement? Until you're hurt, you don't really love a Jew. That's a bold statement. That's what Tanya says. Until it hurts. You give money until it hurts. Not enough that we can have for retirement. We give more. We give more until it hurts. We stand in the snow until it hurts. We go to Torah classes even when we're tired. Till it hurts. Chapter 32 of Tanya. We are Ki'ish Echad B'Lev Echad. We are one family. And that's what the Chad kids taught me yesterday. And that's what the Chabad Shluchim taught me. You know that my husband he had his tefillin with him, and he said, I wonder how many people are going to take off their coats, because you have to remove your coat to wrap the tefillin. How many guys are going to take off their coats in -2 degrees? Hundreds. Hundreds of shluchim. Hundreds of tefillin were yesterday put on. I'm going to post the pictures, because these were beautiful, beautiful Jews. My friends, we're done with the labels. We're done with the labels. Am Yisrael is one. Do you hate your foot, but you love your nose? Do you despise your knees, but you love your brain? How ridiculous is that? Maxine, your husband just came back from Israel, where he gave 2 weeks. 2 weeks your husband gave to volunteer for the Jewish world. It's much easier to sit in Thornhill, but your husband made that move. Jody Chait is signing up now to volunteer in Israel. A Jew is a Jew is a Jew. My friends, the Nazis didn't know that. Hamas doesn't know that. Anti-Semites in Canada don't know that. Pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, they don't know that. We know that, and we're teaching that to the world. The Alter Rebbe was ready to take off, like the king, the stone. What do we need Kabbalah if it can't be brought down to the masses? And that, my friends, is Yotes Kislev. Mwah! I love you all. Go out there, be proud, be Jewish, do more. Mashiach now.